Here we have another example of the chain rule as it's applied to a product. And so we're going to do our product rule and break this into u and v. U is going to be 4x cubed minus 5 raised to the 11th. As I take a derivative of that, I'm going to start with my power. So I'm going to go 11 times the parentheses raised to the 10th. Chain rule gets invoked because what's inside the parentheses does have a derivative. So we go 4t cubed gives me a derivative of 12t squared, because 3 times 4 is 12 and then t squared. And then of course I combine those like terms. So I have my 11 times the 12 is 132t squared, parentheses raised to the 10th. In a similar way, my second expression there was 5t squared minus 7 raised to the 9th. I'm going to take a derivative. I use my power rule. 9 times the parentheses raised to the 8th. I look at the parentheses. I recognize that there is a derivative there. So the derivative of 5t squared is 10t. I'm going to multiply this constant times this value here, or this coefficient times this value here. 9 times 10 would be 90t, parentheses raised to the 8th. And once I have my u's and my du's, my v's and my dv's, I'm going to have to come back and say the derivative would be u dv plus v du. And I plug all that stuff in there. You see how complicated this expression becomes. And so I have my u dv plus v du. Once again, I notice there's a great similarity in these terms. There's a lot that can be factored out. And so I factor out a 6t. That comes from the 90t and the 132t squared. I factor out a 5t squared minus 7 raised to the 8th. A 4t cubed minus 5 raised to the 10th. And then I group together everything that was left over after I factored this GCF out. And so I'm left with 15 times 4t cubed minus 5 plus 22t times 5t squared minus 7. As I expand this, I distribute this across. I can combine like terms, and I'm left with 6t times 5t squared minus 7 raised to the 8th times 4t cubed minus 5 raised to the 10th. It's just this stuff repeated. And then I simplify what was in there. I distributed, combined like terms, and I ended up with 170t cubed minus 154t minus 75. Again, the advantage on this is I get rid of this plus here, and it becomes nothing but a series of products. So it's this times this times this times that. And there is our second example of using the product rule along with the chain rule.